And welcome back to episode 63, guys, of my F1 2016 Toro Rosso career mode. Here today for round 12 of season 4 overall of this series, here for the German Grand Prix. Obviously, as you can see by the standings so far, we lead the championship by 21 points over Max Verstappen here, 25 points over Daniel Ricciardo, and Lewis Hamilton now is outside a race win, away from us now, so obviously looking very, very strong at the moment, as I wouldn't really put the Red Bull as the next strongest car at this moment in the season, guys. But if you are new around here as well, do not forget to like and subscribe at the moment, guys. It's trying to get closer and closer to 900 subscribers at the moment. We may have just around passed 850 by the time this video is going out, but if we haven't as well, guys, that would be very, very helpful. If obviously you could get me one step closer, guys. But last time out, I'd like to thank you quickly before we get into this one, because you absolutely smashed the support on the Hungary episode, of the career mode, guys. Got over 200 views on that episode, so hopefully, we could re-see that happen today, guys. But yeah, let's move on then into this weekend's Grand Prix. As you can see, Chris just telling me about how strong the pace is looking at the moment in time. Obviously, we also got that new part at the last Grand Prix with that downforce front wing cascades, which have given us an extra 1.8% worth of downforce there. It should be very, very helpful moving on into these next few races. Obviously, quite a few power tracks coming up with Spa and Monza in particular in the next two races after this one. But let's move on then into the Grand Prix, and hoping, to have a fairly clean weekend. Obviously, we've had quite a few issues over the last few race weekends, so hoping, this weekend that we should be able to have quite a nice, simple race. But moving on then straight away into free practice. See, coming towards the end of my track climatization lap, we've near enough got a purple score around the whole lap, apart from one green score, which always seems to be. We very rarely manage to get a fully perfect lap there. But coming through the final corner, and we do obviously get the purple score overall there, very, very easily to get that score nowadays. And now moving on to my qualifying simulation run, coming into the final corner here. We're miles up as we go into the final corner there. Coming down towards the line, we're also going to be able to get the 50 points there, which obviously gives us that 100 points there. Maybe, we might have got a few other little bonuses around the place, obviously, as well as doing a few laps on circuit, which should help us out. Hopefully, we should be able to take home nearly 150 points there, nearly getting up to 500 points overall on the totals there. So, we can be very, very happy with that at this moment in time. But now my lady has come to me, and we have now got a new rival, so it's going to be very, very interesting to see who she's going to now pit us against, who Toro Rosso want us to beat next time out, obviously, in the next few races. And the rival she has chosen for us is Max Verstappen there, from Red Bull, obviously, so quite controversial once again that we're seeing Red Bull and Toro Rosso. So about these rivalries now, where we have got a very, very quick car. But moving on then into Q1, and Q1 was a very, very wet affair. As you can see, coming into the hairpin there, we just weren't able to get the steering lock in. But as we come down towards the final couple of corners here, hopefully, we should be able to go up into provisional pole at this moment in the session. As you can see, coming around the final couple of corners, a little bit of understeer there. We do nearly trim the final corner there, but my teammate Danny Kvyat goes second at that moment in time. But coming down towards the line, we go up into P2 there, just a little bit off my teammate there. So, very, very happy with that for this moment in time. Obviously, Danny been very, very strong in these last few qualifying sessions there, so, we can't exactly complain about that. As you can see, by the end of the session, we are still up in P11 at this moment in time with just a few minutes to go in the session. You can see we dropped down to P12, and at the end of the session there, that is not the music we want to be hearing. We have been knocked out in Q1 right at the very end there. Just so many drivers went through and just managed to go quick there. As you can see, my teammate Kvyat barely managed to get into Q2 there, after I thought, we'd obviously both be fairly comfortably into Q3 there, so no idea what has gone on there. We don't know even what to say about that. Just all the other cars managed to get through right at the very end there. I think the only thing that we can really sort of take from that session is the fact that Max Verstappen also did not make it into Q2 there. Obviously, my main championship rival at the moment. We want to try and get a one race win advantage at this moment in time in the season, but no idea what to say about that. And unfortunately, that means obviously when we look at the R&D, we aren't going to be able to take home many R&D points from that. See so many failed zero scores there, and we're going to be at 499 points by the end of the session. We're also losing my career rivalry at the moment, obviously, with both of us out in Q1 there. There's not really too much that either of us can really be happy about when it comes to that rivalry, guys. But let's move on then into the German Grand Prix. So here we are then, guys, ready for the German Grand Prix. Definitely qualifying was not how we wanted it to go, ready for this race. But hopefully, if we can still take home a good handful of points in the race, maybe, we could see some changing. Just see the clouds are still in the sky, but this light rain at this moment in time, which could hint that, we could be seeing some changing conditions over the course of the race here. But let's have a rundown then of the qualifying grid there. Obviously, we didn't see most of Q2 and 3 there, but Nico Rosberg takes pole just 5 thousandths ahead of my teammate Danny Kvyat there. So finally, Kvyat showing he has got a lot of pace in the car. But Lewis Hamilton, Kimi Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, Jensen Button, Nico Hulkenberg, Grosjean, Vettel, and Nasser fill out the top 10, with Bottas and Julian Palmer just missing out there. Felipe Massa, Rio Haryanto, Kevin Magnussen, and Pascal Wehrlein all managing to get into Q2. As you can see, myself, Fernando Alonso, Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, Esteban Gutierrez, and Marcus Ericsson there all fell to the wayside in Q1 there, obviously. So really, all of us should have probably aimed to get into Q2 there. But starting down in P18, the track even, is going to dry out very, very early on in this Grand Prix. So we're going to try and overfuel the car a little bit. Obviously, with such a long back straight here, we want to be able to run as much rich revs as we possibly can for when it comes to defending from the other cars on the field, guys. But obviously, starting so far down in this Grand Prix, we've really got to ask for a bit of a miracle at this moment in time if we want to be able to try and pull out points over Daniel Ricciardo in this race. But we're on the grid now, ready for the German Grand Prix. It's 5 lights, and away we go then for the German Grand Prix. The car behind me, Sergio Perez, getting off to an absolutely tremendous start there. We're getting caught up behind Max Verstappen there. As you can see, we're just going to try and keep it clean, keep it very conservative down towards Tom As we try and look around the outside, just an absolute wall of cars just ahead of me there as Magnussen and Wehrlein nearly make contact there. We nearly collide with Fernando Alonso there as we just have to take evasive action from each other there. But coming into turn 3, are we going to be able to try and hold it around the outside of Alonso here? We do make contact with his wheel there, but we find a way around both him and Kevin Magnussen there. As you can see now, right on Pascal Wehrlein's gearbox, as we're going to try and pull alongside him, shift it up into rich revs here, and hoping we can try and get past another couple of cars here as Palmer looking side by side with Haryanto here. We can make it 3 wide down towards the hairpin there. We go up the inside of Felipe Nasr there as well, and now hopefully, if we hold on to this move, which we have done, we move already up then into P12 of the Grand Prix. We wanted to try and get past as many backmarker cars as we possibly can, as early as we possibly can in the race there. Get an absolutely huge slide as we go through the king there of turn 6, I think that is. And next up on my hit list now is Felipe Massa in that Williams car. Obviously, we've seen Williams really have a downfall of performance in this season so far, but hoping for them, obviously, this race, that they could potentially score a few solid points for the team. They really need to see a big improvement in their performances, guys. But closing in on Massa absolutely massively as we come to the hairpin here. And are we going to be able to try and get past him very, very soon here? We have a look up the inside into the final couple of corners here, and we move up the inside of him to try and squeeze him a little bit wide over the curbs there. And we now move up into P11 now of the German Grand Prix by the end of lap 1. But now, as you can see, skipping on a little bit further into the Grand Prix here, towards the middle point of lap 2, Valtteri Bottas and Romain Grosjean here locked into a little bit of a battle. As you can see, they're very, very close between them both. But we're going to try and think about a move up the inside of Bottas there into the very, very tricky turn. I think that's turn 13. As we now try and look around the outside of Bottas here into the hairpin. Are we going to be able to try and make the move stick through the stadium section? Yes, we do. And an absolutely incredible move, if I do say so from myself there. Around the outside of Valtteri Bottas there, into definitely not what is an overtaking place. And now moving on to the start of lap 3. We go up the inside of Romain Grosjean there. He tries to swing it around the outside towards the halfway around the corner there. But we are going to be able to re-inherit now P8 in the German Grand Prix here. So, it's been a very, very successful opening couple of laps here. We've already made up 10 positions, as you can see. But by the end of lap 3 here, as you can see, Lewis Hamilton there, you might have heard over the radio engineer there, saying that he might have problems here. So, hoping if he's in the lead of the Grand Prix that he can hold up a load of other cars here. But we're right behind Sebastian Vettel there. We're massively wide through turn 1 there. I think we actually did take out the DRS sign. But hoping, we could try and line up a move on Sebastian Vettel through these next couple of corners. We're going to try and go slow in, fast out, down towards the long back straight here. We're going to try and go for a bit of an undercut move, get past him before we're even at the DRS zone, and we are going to be now able to re-inherit P7 in the Grand Prix, and now we move up past Jensen Button as well with that McLaren Honda power unit, and now up into P6 we go in the German Grand Prix here. We've got 3 cars fighting just ahead of me, Nico Hulkenberg, Daniel Ricciardo, but Sebastian Vettel there goes for an absolute dive bomb. He pushes me wide. He tries to think about going for a move, but thinks better of it as we come out of the hairpin. But towards the end of lap 4, as you can see, still up in P6 here, right behind Nico Hulkenberg, he's really, outside of position of where he should have been in that Force India there. So Hulkenberg, believe it or not, for the first time in quite a while, actually doing quite a solid drive here. But we move up the inside through the final corner there, and we take over P5 in the German Grand Prix. And now moving on to lap 5 here, we got Kimi Räikkönen just ahead of me, and he's trying to line up a move on Daniel Ricciardo here. We try and brake as late as we possibly can, just miss Ricciardo there, but try to go for a bit of a switchback move, and that's worked. Straight past Ricciardo we go, and as Räikkönen gets bogged down as well, we make a fantastic double overtake there with the switchback move. Now up into P3 of the German Grand Prix we go, and very, very happy with that. Already into the podium positions, just 5 laps into the race now. See, closing in on Lewis Hamilton on the end of the lap there. Obviously, Jeff told me about the issues he was having with the car, so we're just going to try and get past him there, but he's so slow out of the final corner there. We nearly make contact with the wall there as we go purple on the end of that lap there, but coming towards turn 2 now. And are we going to try and make a move up the inside of Lewis Hamilton there? We don't want to give him any room, as once again, obviously, we have made contact in another Grand Prix this season. But we go up the inside through turn 2 there, and up now into P2 now of the German Grand Prix. And the final man on my hit list at this moment in time is Nico Rosberg, currently in the German Grand Prix. But now, as you can see, towards the end of lap 6 here, yellow flags are out in Sector 2 there, so I might try and have a look on the replay cameras, see what is going on there, guys. I think it might be sort of round the back marker cars here, but obviously we'll have to have a look through. Maybe it could have been a quicker car trying to make their way through the field here, but scrolling back through the field now, we're going to see, I think, 2 cars going wide. Yes, they are. The Force India and the Manor there, but the Manor just runs a little bit wide there. That's Pascal Wehrlein, and nothing happens between those guys, so no idea what's there. And there seems to be the culprit. We've got a McLaren Honda, a Renault, and I think that's a Haas car of Esteban Gutierrez here. The McLaren pushes the Renault, I think that's Magnussen, as he runs wide and just comes straight back onto the track, completely wipes out Esteban Gutierrez there. And I think Gutierrez here, he does crash into the wall there, but somehow remains in this Grand Prix at this moment in time after a huge smash into the wall there. Very, very lucky to only come away with front wing damage on that Haas car. But it's seen now the safety car has been deployed thanks to that incident there, so we're going to try and gamble, come into the pit lane at the end and start trying to get a new front wing, obviously after Lewis Hamilton and I did make contact there. We had yellow front wing, and we're going to be a bit cheeky coming into the pit lane here. We are going to go massively under the delta there, but we come out the pits down in P12 now and succeed by the start of lap 7 here, and hoping, on the safety car restart, we should be able to try and get us through as many cars as we possibly can. At the end of lap 9 though, the safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap, and we're nowhere near Felipe Nasr on the restart there. Green flags come out though, and we're going to try and make a move up the inside into the final corner here. One of my favourite overtaking places so far in this Grand Prix. We force him wide over the curves and back up into P11 we go in the German Grand Prix here. So we're going to try and make our way once again all the way back through the field. And see, next up on my hit list is Felipe Massa. See, moving on just a bit further on to lap 10 here, and there's a huge amount of cars here trying to make move on each other, so I'm just going to try and be as cautious as I can, maybe try and go for a bit of an undercut there, but I see a gap up the inside. We go up the inside of Bottas there, try and follow Felipe Massa through there, squeeze Grosjean out over the curbs there, and now up into P9 we go once again, so another double overtake there, using the curbs to our advantage to try and slow down the AI cars. And next up on my hit list, Felipe Massa there. We dive it up the inside into the hairpin there in the stadium section. And obviously very, very happy with that move once again. But we think about going for a move on Jenson Button there. He just doesn't give me enough room and then decides he is going to try and give me enough room. But unfortunately there, we weren't able to make the position stick as succeed. Coming into the final couple of corners though, obviously with that McLaren Honda power unit, he's going to have such a big deficit down the straight. You can see coming down towards turn 1 though, cars are going side by side just ahead of him there. Hamilton and Vettel slow each other down absolutely massively. I tried to take evasive action from the pair of them, and I think I've accidentally taken Jenson Button there out of the German Grand Prix there. I'll have to have a look back on the replays, but no idea what's happened there between myself and Button there. I was trying to avoid him as much as I could. Obviously the AI on this game seem to just be able to know when each other are going to slow down there. As you see, I just make contact with Button there. Obviously quite light contact really to rip the wheel off. See, looking from my point of view though, and just coming towards turn 1 there, I think we do cut the corner ever so slightly there. I think we do if you have a look on the slow motion. Yes, we do. And I just tried to avoid him, barely missing there, try to save the back end there, and I just, on that snapback on the car there, I unfortunately just make contact with Jenson Button there. Very, very light contact to end up costing his race, but I can only apologise to Jenson there for ruining what could have been a very, very solid point scoring position for himself in that race here. But now moving on towards the end of lap 12, the end of lap 11 here, and we are coming in for the changeover on the tyre strategy. So we're going to move on to a set of the soft tyres here trying to go for one more stop in this Grand Prix on another set of softs. But we've been held up behind so many cars there. Felipe Nasr, I think that is, or Marcus Ericsson there, has held me up with Sauber double stacking there, and I've just been caught out at exactly the wrong time. They're down in P16 now in this Grand Prix, but by the end of a couple more laps and getting through a couple of the black marker cars, we now make a move on my teammate Danny Kvyat here, as a lot of drivers have now come in and made their pits to it, and now up into P10 once again we go, and Kvyat tries holding it side by side with me there. He squeezes me out over the curbs there, so no idea what that is all about by my teammate Danny Kvyat. Now, after such a good qualifying session, he obviously wants to prove himself that he can still be the quicker driver at the Paris there. But coming down now into the hairpin here, side by side with my teammate Danny Kvyat, and we do now move once again back up into P10 now of the German Grand Prix there. So, we're not really taking that from Danny Kvyat. He's very much a number 2 driver at this moment in time in the season. We can see coming onto the end of lap 16 here, going exploring around the rest of the German scenery, if you will, there. Coming into the final couple of corners, though, closing in on Lewis Hamilton and Romain Grosjean. There we go for a diving move up the inside of Lewis Hamilton there, up into the hairpin there. And we now move back up into P9 of the Grand Prix here, and now trying to line up a move on Romain Grosjean. We're going to go once again into the final corner now. We make another move. We squeeze him out over the curves on the exit there. And we now move back up into P8 of the German Grand Prix. But Hamilton and Grosjean going side by side towards turn 1 there. Hoping, Grosjean can hold on to the position there, but I don't think he managed to, unfortunately for me there. But now we see moving on to lap 18 here, and Valtteri Bottas up in P7 here, obviously looking like he could score a haul of points here for Williams, but we move up the inside into the hairpin there, and he wasn't able to do anything about that. But now closing up to his teammate here, Felipe Massa, so they can be looking at sort of a good 14 points here in this Grand Prix, but I think I'm going to demote them, so the most they'll be able to score at this moment in time will hopefully be 10. But coming into turn when we try and go slow in, fast out on Felipe Massa here with the DRS open, and we move up the inside down towards turn 2 there, and another position we are able to make in this Grand Prix. As you can see, we've only got 14 laps to go now, and by the end of lap 24, we are actually going to come in for my third and final pit stop of the day, guys, here. So, hoping onto another set of the soft tyres that we should be alright to go to the end of the Grand Prix here. Obviously, we managed to do about 12 laps on this stint here, as you can see, but now moving on to lap 26 here, and we're closing in on Sebastian Vettel and Nico Hülkenberg. If Sebastian Vettel gets squeezed wide there, we're going to be able to go up the inside of him and then up the inside of Nico Hülkenberg there, so a fantastic double overtake to move back up into P4 of the Grand Prix. As you can see, now moving on to Daniel Ricciardo here on the final couple of laps of this Grand Prix. He gets just around the outside of Esteban Gutierrez there through turn 1, which massively cost me time-wise, as I was hoping Gutierrez would kind of slow him down there. But Pascal Wehrlein, the next car up the road here, is going to absolutely slow Daniel Ricciardo down. An absolute treat for me here. We're going to try and get the DRS on Wehrlein first, and then hopefully Daniel Ricciardo here. Coming down towards the hairpin though, it seemed very, very far back from him at this moment in time, but hopefully with the slipstream, we might be able to close on him absolutely massively. As you can see, coming down towards the hairpin though, and he locks up a little bit there, just can't get the car turned in, and we now move up into P3 of the German Grand Prix with 1 lap to go in this Grand Prix. So we've managed to go from P18 all the way up to a podium position. You can see, guys, by the final lap of the race, we are able to hold on to P3 in the Grand Prix, and I was hoping, that we could take home a handful of points in this Grand Prix, but especially when the track just got so dry very early on, we were able to capitalise on that and take home a podium race. There we are then, guys, the end to another Grand Prix in this season. See, Nico Rosberg takes home a well-earned win. Obviously, this season hasn't gone his way up to this point at the moment in time, but Kimi Räikkönen takes home a very, very well-earned P2 as well, though, so both those guys should be very, very happy with their podium positions there. Obviously, They both have not really been able to match their teammates in performances so far this season. But we come home up in P3 there to once again pull out a little bit more points over Daniel Ricciardo there and Lewis Hamilton in the Grand Prix. My teammate Danny Kvyat there, although looking so strong in qualifying, wasn't able to pull through just as well in the race. But P6 there in the Grand Prix, he should also be very happy with. As you can see, looking further down the field there, Nico Hulkenberg ended up just about bottling that race. Obviously, he was looking good for a very solid points finish in the early stage there. But Jolyon Palmer and Jenson Button there, two other British drivers, weren't able to score points. Weren't even able to finish the Grand Prix there. But a big name not to score points even was Max Verstappen. They're down in P19 there. And, you know, he will not be happy with that. He has lost a huge chunk overall in the championship standings there. And Red Bull also will not be happy with that. Because going into this race, obviously, they were leading the constructors by quite a bit of points at this moment in time. I think it was about a 30-point gap they had. But obviously, we'll have to look as we move into the drivers and constructors standings to see if they have held on to that. See, I now have just over a race wins advantage over Daniel Ricciardo now. But Nico Rosberg moves all the way back up into P3. They're jumping his teammate Lewis Hamilton there. So he'll be very happy with that. As well as Kimi Raikkonen jumping his teammate Sebastian Vettel there. My teammate Danny Kvyat jumps Fernando Alonso there to turn up into P8 there. So obviously it looks like the top 4 teams now taking up the top 8 places. And I'm going to look over at the constructors there. Red Bull and Mercedes are tied on points at this moment in time, guys. We're very close behind, as well as Ferrari here. So it's really just a 4-car race to the end of the season now. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Do not forget to like, subscribe if you are new around here, guys. And I will see you hopefully next time for the Belgian Grand Prix.
So promise that you'll catch me.